It is one of those lessons of social psychology that 80% of the UK population is extroverts, therefore gets its energy from interacting with other people. And the 2 years of lockdown and restricted conversation access has been hell for a lot of people. There are other people, the introverts, who've had quite a nice time, really. And I don't know if they're all here in force today, but anyway, I can speak up for the extroverts and say these last 2 years have been very difficult in all sorts of ways. So it's great to be part of this great conversational buzz, and for us not to be, thank God, simply a Zoom conference. Do you express a certain sense of relief about that? I do, yes, right, good. Now, so in real time, with real people in front of us, can I ask you to welcome Educator Peters, who's come all the way from the USA to be with us. This is kind of the Diocese of Lichfield's repeat booking with Educator. We enticed her to come and be the vicar of St Chad, Shrewsbury for a bit, and therefore she turned that around in about 2 years flat, and then found love and marriage and has been poached back by the Episcopal Church of the USA. And there's still quite a bounty still to be got from the Diocese of Lichfield for the transfer fee. I'm also delighted that our diocesan bishop, my diocesan bishop, Michael Lipgrave, is here, both to help reflect tomorrow on what's going on and to hear what's going on in the room, and to just feed in, as he does so beautifully, the odd pearl and insight of wisdom. So Bishop Michael will just stand and say hello. And it was very much in the spirit of the new cathedrals measure that we didn't want to have cathedrals operating without a bit of episcopal knowledge. So he is the cathedral's narc with the House of Bishops, and he'll get me back, no doubt, sometime soon. Now, we have been on a journey, both a journey of discovery and how we learn together, and Eve, our facilitator, will talk to us a bit about that, because she drafted the very helpful notes in the program about how you get the best out of a do like this. But Eve, as the Third Estates Commissioner, had to pilot through Synod and the Archbishop's Council and the rest of it, the new cathedrals measure. And it's a great mark of success that we've ended up with a piece of legislation that is perhaps to everybody's advantage and perhaps gives us a new foundation in the reality of corporate and institutional governance that the kind of rest of the world is travelling along. So Eve, we're really, really thrilled that you'll be able to come. Thank you very much for all that you have given, and thanks very much for being part of the conversation this week. So the floor is yours.
Hello. So this is a game of two halves. The first is logistics about your learning. Those of you who don't know me, I'm called Eve Poole, and I was the Third Church Estates Commissioner. And I met most of you for the first time at the first National Cathedrals Conference. And I've been in cahoots with Adrian for years because we were behind the first Spiritual Capital report when we were trying to fight a rearguard action against the church commissioners to review the funding of cathedrals. And so he had asked me to be part of that very first conference before he realized that I had applied to be the Third Church Estates Commissioner. And those of you who were there will remember there were some tetchy moments during that conference because we were still all quite cross about the report, the Cathedrals Working Group report, and there was quite a lot of friction. What we had tried to do in that first conference is bung as much as we could into the programme that might be of use. And the feedback we had after that first conference was it was all a bit overwhelming. And actually, while a lot of that really fed you, one of the things that most fed you was the opportunity to hang out together. So you'll notice that during this programme there is designed to be much more space for you to be able to do that, because what we have learned in the 3 or 4 years since that conference and since I became Third Church Estates Commissioner is just how fast the cathedral community can move in terms of its learning when it does that together. So there's some technical notes in the programme on pages 9 and 10. The top 10 tips from a senior adult educator are from me. And these are really just housekeeping notices about how you might want to attend to your learning hygiene. So if you're bored, get up and walk around, drink water, natter to people. If you don't learn by sitting, do something else. Be grown up about what you choose to go to and what you choose not to go to. But please be greedy, because there is an incredible programme here and incredible people. And actually you will need to be quite strategic about how you're going to access as much of that as you can find helpful during the time that you're here. So we'd encourage you to work with your cathedral colleagues to figure out who's going to what and how you're going to debrief each other and feed back. So we'll all be on hand. I'm going to be dipping in and out a bit because my twins are 10 tomorrow, so I've got to go back to Edinburgh for birthday day and then come back again. So apologies I won't be here tomorrow, but I'll be around for the rest of most of the time. And you have a huge variety of people here to help you, including the people you've been introduced to already and the wonderful volunteer team. So please don't suffer in silence if anything isn't working for you. Please come and find somebody and let's fix that together. But Adrian very kindly said he would also like me just to spend a few minutes reflecting more generally on how we learn together as a cathedral community, given that I've now stopped being Third Church Estates Commissioner and Flora is here, over here, who is the new Third Church Estates Commissioner and is going to be talking to you tomorrow. And the Commissioner's team are all out here in force to talk to you about that particular remit. But as Adrian said, I was brought in particularly with a focus on the cathedrals measure. And those of you who've been involved over the last few years will know that that was quite contested to begin with. And indeed, during the first Cathedrals Conference, I attended a meeting of deans where there was shouting, and it was all rather tricky, and people were very cross. And it's hugely to your credit that you took the opportunity of something you all couldn't bear and were really cross about to bond together massively as a community and to start talking in a way you had just not done before. When I was a junior person, the church commissioner at the beginning of my career, cathedrals were just over there somewhere, keeping their heads down, quietly getting on with it and quite liking being under the radar. But the problem was it meant you were all lone wolving and doing amazing things in your own context, but there was no levelling up, I guess one could say, in terms of the learning and the sharing of what you'd experimented with, where you had found funding, where you had tried something else, things that you had failed in that you needed to learn from. And what I would like to give thanks for is just how much I've learned on the fringes of that about what it means when this community learns together. And this is just a little icon of that. I don't know how many of you have a pilgrim passport, but even 3 or 4 years ago, it would not have even been on anyone's radar that the cathedrals could have come up with something as collective as this, where you might even have cycle routes and that there might be a thing called the cathedral network as opposed to just, random sets of cathedrals scattered around the country. And the reason that I love cathedrals so much is really to draw on something that Sir John Major said earlier, because I've drafted and redrafted notes for this session many times. Because of COVID, I was robbed of a farewell speech. And if I was ever going to give one, it would be to you, because you're the community I really came to serve in that role. And really, I want to say thank you to you. Because of what John Major said, I think it was the Dean of Westminster who pointed out that it used to be the bishops who were in the public square. But actually, they're not really there anymore. It is the cathedrals who are in the public square, because physically you are, no more so than in Newcastle when you're literally right in the middle of this roundabout. But all of your cathedrals are right in the heart of your cities. That is your defining characteristic. And actually that gives you huge permission to do all the things he talked about. And so you, for me, are our vanguard. You are our guarantee. You are our beacons. You are holding the line. And one thing we learnt together, Adrian and I, when we looked at the Spiritual Capital report, is just how crucial you are as that revolving door. People feel permission to come and wander into your cathedrals in a way they no longer feel they can wander into a parish church often. They feel they can come and belong here in a way that, David Mitchell can articulate and other people can articulate, but they can't always explain it very well. But we know that what you offer this country is something incredibly precious, which is not readily duplicated and can't be turned into strategy and metrics about Sunday morning attendance or anything like that. But for all the lost, all of those people wandering around who are not quite sure, they have a feel, but they don't know what the feel is, but the cathedral might know. And I remember before the last conference, there was a lovely cartoon in the Church Times about a phone signal and how if you go into a cathedral, there's somehow another bar which gets you connected in a way. So I wanted to thank you very much for hosting me while I was Third Church Estates Commissioner and helping me learn about you. And I would like to mark this second National Cathedrals Conference as another opportunity for you to gather together all of the things you've learned since by learning together in order to make sure that we don't necessarily need to keep having these conferences because you're doing it anyway. I hope that we will do, but I realise they're massive undertakings. And actually what we did need the first one because people weren't talking. What my dream would be is for this to be happening so organically, you will just know what is happening in all the other cathedrals and how you might learn from that. Because what we need from you is to teach that back to the church now, because the church has forgotten what you know and what you do every day. And I know the last few years have been really hard, and I think a lot of us are here very tired and very weary and thinking, oh God, a conference and having to talk to people, and I have forgotten how to do that, and I don't know what the dress code is. But I would really encourage you just to relish this very special group of people and to celebrate all you have done, all you have become, all you will be, and particularly in this very inspirational castle. I was going to say the castle of Newcastle. This is the Cathedral of Newcastle because the castle is elsewhere. But this very inspirational place, which is an embodiment of all the things we hope for and dream for in cathedrals. So I just want to open the conference again in terms of your learning by asking you to spend Evensong and tonight and as you fall asleep thinking about why you're here. Who sent you? Did you come yourself or did the cathedral nominate you in some way? What do you need to get out of it professionally, but also personally, what do you need to get out of it? Have a look at this delegate list. Have a hit list of the people that you need to make sure you see. The badges are quite small, so you might need to bring your reading glasses with you as you go around. But network like mad and find the people that you need to speak to. And turn off your phone if you can. Let the desk know how to contact you, and people can always ring in if there's something urgent that needs to take you away from what you're doing. And really have a wonderful, wonderful few days. So thank you for having me again, and I'll see you through the week.
So now we have just 25 minutes to prepare ourselves for Evensong, which we held here in the nave. We're delighted that the cathedral choir will be in full voice, and let's try and make this corporate act of worship a time for reflection and for nourishment. So 25 minutes time. See you then.